All right, all right, all right. I think we are live and good to go. We will let all the legends know in the Discord, you know the business, and then we will be getting started, legends. A little bit of a different type of live stream today. Going to be taking a look at market analysis as a whole. You'll be taking a look at how markets are shaping up. But let's just let the legends know, and then we will be getting into it. Oh, there's me. There's me, legends. There's me. There's me. All right. Let's let everyone know, and then let's jump into it. I hope all is well. I hope everybody had an incredible weekend, and I hope we are ready to kick it off with another legendary week. Got some big things coming out this week in particular. Very, very excited. V4 is going to be launching on Friday, so that is crazy, crazy exciting. And then one second, just gonna I'm lagging a little bit here today, legends, but we're gonna get this going. Beautiful. Boom. Boom. Hello. We are live. It is time for the business. Cool. The problem is you have so many channels. It's pretty insane. But you work around it. You figure out a way, you know? But yeah, all in all, another really good week when it came to Miracle. Cannot say much on that end. Everything was just super smooth, and yeah, on to I think week 6 now. So that is really, really exciting. We got some new strategies coming out this week too, so very excited about that. And yeah, all right. We let the legends know. Everyone is notified. It is time to get into the business. Legends, welcome back to another live stream. For those that do not know, these take place every Sunday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. We are a little bit delayed for the day today, but that is all good. Had some technical difficulties. It is also my birthday week coming up, so that is another reason. That's not really a reason, but anyways, we're here, back, rocking and rolling. And yeah, it's definitely going to be a little bit of a different type of live stream today. We're going to be using the toolkit in tandem with Market Outlook as a whole. And we're going to do a little bit of an OG type of live stream. For my legends that do not know, this is something that I used to do all the time in the past. I take a look at markets as a whole, and we'd see if there's any opportunities running through. Typically, we review all of the trades that are fired away from Miracle, but we did review those on Friday, and so that'll be something really cool that you guys can look forward to moving forward. Sunday, unless there are trades that happen to be taken throughout the weekend, we will review. Otherwise, Sunday will be more towards around a market outlook type of environment, and then the Wednesday, Friday streams will be more on a reviewing on Miracle, what is going on across the board. And so, yeah, also legends, big thing to take into consideration. We did just launch market outlooks for all Miracle members too, so that is super unique. Sunday to Friday on a daily basis, you guys are going to get automated market outlooks across every single market, every single pair. This is massive because now you can just very simply know what environmentally is going on. And then, of course, you can build plays accordingly, too. So now all Miracle members have the complete package, the full arsenal, automated analysis through the toolkit, automated signals through Miracle, and now automated market outlooks through Miracle as well. So you have the entire package, you have the full suite. Take advantage of the promo. You get access to the toolkit if you are a Miracle member for free. And then now also all Miracle members have I can't even speak today, legends. They have automated market outlooks. All right. Nonetheless, let's take a look at conditions as a whole. We're going to look at everything from a pure price action standpoint. Just simple market structure analysis here. And we're going to look at everything from a higher time frame perspective. Have to love just how quickly that analysis comes into play. I'm going to put on the trend changes here just to make things a little bit smoother. And we're going to start from the top here, legends, for my OGs. This is going to be a trip down memory lane. Yeah, as a whole, this is what I used to do. This is my bread and butter. And yeah, just really cool insight for you, legends, to see how you can use the toolkit in tandem with everything else. And more importantly, be able to create plays across the board with it. And so let's get into it, legends. AUD CAD, we'll start with the AUD pairs, moving all the way down to the dollar pairs. I'm not necessarily going to go through every single play of every single pair of how to break them down if there's no opportunities, but for the ones that are a little bit more free-flowing, let's get into the business. So, for those that do not know, I like to call this hybrid style of trading. What is that style of trading? You're using automated tools in tandem with your manual trading to achieve a lot higher of an efficiency and overall performance within your trading. This is the way forward. AUD CAD to begin with. So to start, we can definitely see for probably the last week or two, price has definitely been in a more of a range-bound type of environment. And so with this, we're going to take a look at a higher time frame structure here and take a look at what is going on across the board. We can definitely just see still in a range-bound environment, more sided towards the buyers here rather than the sellers. So with this, you would still be looking for those continued longs to the upside, but still everything is short term because you are in a range within a range. So daily, weekly, there's no reason to really run down to a smaller time frame except if you want to kind of see the plays. You gotta love the toolkit. You see that immediate analysis right there? You have to love what the toolkit does. These are super smooth plays. Just got to be mindful, again, the counter arguments associated. That is the name of the game. Just simply mapping out your plays and then understanding the arguments associated to the given plays that you're trading. That dictates the statistics and the probability of the type of trade that you're going to have. As long as you understand that with some decent money management, you're going to be A-okay. So very simply, Excelsius is marking up the analysis for you. Sells would begin by breaking through this base, and you can expect to continue movement to the downside. And same thing, if we can actually start to correct out of this short-term continuation play that is in line with that weekly pressure, for sure, you can start to expect continuation plays back to the upside. And so, nonetheless, these are just two super smooth plays that you would be looking for just because they're very concentrated in context to environment across the board. And so with that, it just, again, is a matter of waiting at this point. You can obviously cycle through if you wanted. Like if you moved down here and you went into like lightning for a second, definitely for sure you would see that there's some type of support being created here on more of an intraday scale. And you could definitely just wait for that to break down too. But nonetheless, that's AUD CAD, just super range bound across the board. We're seeing the same thing in context to AUD CHF. From a daily standpoint too, we can see that there's not much going on here for the moment. Market does look a little bit more bearish than bullish, right? We can see that price has corrected here. Can we appreciate the toolkit for a second, legends? Can we appreciate how smooth it is when you just swap through a time frame and you see, boom, instant analysis, instant results. All you have to do is map out the idea. That's the name of the game. That's how it's done. That's all you have to do. Map it out. And then wait for the trade to play through. Smart money management. Fix the risk. Don't trade per lot size. Trade per a fixed risk percentage. And you'll be A-okay. You'll be good to go. Backtest your trades. Understand the data. Become knowing. The moment you become knowing, emotions become suppressed. That's the way forward. All right. Nonetheless, coming back into it. AUD CHF, weekly, bearish. But we can see here in the short term. I have to say, by the way, I hate these drawing tools. I'm going to try to slap on Zoom's drawing tools just because you know me. I can smooth and fly with the brush, go with this. I cannot. I feel very restricted. But anyways, in here we can see that market is in fact being rejected. So if you do get the sells, you can take one more sell back to the downside here, but it is very short term. You have to be mindful of that. Going into the daily here again, it's very mapped out for you. You're just looking for one play either way. Do we have better drawing tools? Let's see what the highlighter feels like. The highlighter, hello. But what you see how it like squiggles? It doesn't move free flowing. It's not nice, right? But still, we'll work with this anyways. But yeah, you get simple buys there. You get simple sells within here. Those are kind of the plays that you are looking for in its entirety. But still, be mindful, very ranged with more of a selling type of bias. Any buys are short term, any sells a little bit more of a longer term. But you got to keep in mind staying within that range. That's AUD NZD. AUD CAD. AUD NZD, you're looking for that further continued movement. My manual side already saw that we had broken through this previous point to the left in here. You are looking for that further downside movement. Weekly, though, is a little bit more range bound, right? So you are going to start pushing into this region here. You could have price potentially pull back one more time and then expect another downside movement, just like you did have this initial push followed by a pullback. Same concept here. So you could expect the same thing, but nonetheless, be mindful of where you are pushing into and what could potentially be taking place. But that's AUD NZD for the short-term sells. For the buys, if you do get any buys, there are short-term, even more short-term and higher risk, just because momentum as a whole is in fact trending downwards. And if we get out of this lightning environment, and let's just say look at it more from a balance standpoint, you'll see that I am wrong in that regard. Market hasn't really changed so quickly. If we go to Swift, maybe a little bit quicker. But as a whole, market on the weekly is bearish. No, it's not. It's bullish. My bad. So then, yeah, everything's short term. Just because daily's bearish, weekly's bullish, monthly is ranged, but more sided towards the bullish. Short term across the board. And we're seeing this with AUD pairs, right? Just really in a range-bound environment, short term across the board. Just goes back into the big theme that I was talking about last week, right? You cannot allow for just how you feel to ultimately dictate how you want to trade. Because again, if market conditions are not set up to be optimal for free-flowing movements and they're in really concentrated environments, you are 100% going to have difficulty within the plays in which you're trading. 1,000%. That's why, again, automation is so crucial, because automation ultimately just showcases you very simply what it is that is going on and what you could expect, nothing more. And so that's AUD NZD. Not much across the board that we can take a look at. We'll look at most of these from a lightning standpoint to start with, just to have a little bit more of that intraday type of format. And then if we do start to see more of concentrated environments, we'll start to open up the horizon as a whole. So that's AUD NZD. And again, like I said, we're just seeing that consistency. I can't get over the analysis and how clean it is. It is a dream come true. It is a dream come true. Anyways. Yeah, and so we're going to assume that all AUD pairs are chopped across the board. The yen pairs might be a little bit sided differently in that regard, just because obviously they have something more fundamentally driving them right now. But again, you can see AUD JPY more range, definitely with more of a bearish stance though compared to the other AUD pairs, only because again of what is going on with the BOJ across the board. But this has been pulling back. It's natural. This is just a correction of relief. But you are moving into a concentrated area. This is something I talked about last week. Reason why markets are a little bit more consolidated. This is just what you can expect across the board. But very simple plays, right? Break to the upside. Hello, where did my drawing tool go? It is not there anymore. But yeah, simple breaks to the upside. You can expect continued movement. Simple breaks to the downside. And you can expect continued movements. The sells will obviously have a little bit more of a longer term push and a harder term push, just because of what has been going on over the last 6-7 weeks. Buys a little bit more shorter term, but not to say that you might not have a pretty good push as well. Just range though, you are waiting. And then environmentally, from a weekly standpoint here, yeah, I mean, you're at somewhere crucial. Could you reverse all the way back to the top? Maybe. There's not much weekly structure in here, right? So it really just comes down to what you break down on the daily. You got to get through here first, and then obviously get through the next major point. And if you can, you slowly just start moving into those higher possibilities that maybe it is a complete reversal. Monthly and weekly, though, you're at a serious point. You can see that, right? Just sitting within here. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, that's AUD-JPY, and most AUD pairs are just simply consolidated and ranged. AUD-USD, the last one, and there is no difference across the board. We can definitely just see here that price is definitely for sure ranged. And inside of that, you do have these smaller term ranges. And this, again, is why it's so important to understand. And this is on the weekly perspective. I'll go to the daily. But just dictates, again, how quickly or slowly of movements you will get. Daily, though, again, there's nothing really much going on. It's a range within a range. With this, I'm just going to create. And this is a great example with the toolkit. When you are having really range-bound environment and you might necessarily not have a smooth type of price action trading, what I like to do to combat and just simply just start to smooth out all the price action is just work with the toolkit here and say, all right, maybe I'll start moving into a balanced approach, or maybe even going into more of a higher time frame approach, just because I'm removing all of the noise here, right? It's very simple on what I'm looking for across the board. And then again, I can just simply create game plans based on that, right? And so for me, that just makes it really easy for me to just kind of see, okay, if we're going to see a continued buy, obviously we got to get above this top. You could see a continued long. If we're going to short-term sell, you could look for the first one and start to drop it down into, these next regions within here. And same thing to the downside. And you might say, well, how do you know, from an automated standpoint that these are your targets, right? And again, I'm just keeping everything smooth. If I was in a trade, maybe I'll slowly start to bring down tools just to kind of see more of these intraday type of levels that maybe will start to come about, right? And that's, again, really where the whole basis of the tool is. You can just see as I keep changing, I'm just getting more and more levels. And I know where those levels are just because, again, it's price action. This is the basis of what everything is built off of in the end of the day. But just great examples of how you can weed out noise in range-bound environments using the toolkit and just simply saying, hey, I'm just simply going to change the pace of the market because market in and of itself is in a range-bound environment, so it makes more sense for me to have plays that are going to be way more conservative, just so that if we do get plays, it's definitely more of a higher probability that we might be changing out of this range. And so across the board, though, AUD pair super short term. Weekly, again, is in a range massively, and there's just not much going on to it across, so you're just waiting and going from there. But that's AUD pairs. Moving on to the CAD pairs here. Daily to begin with. Let's bring this down now because we don't need that slow of a pace here. Let's go a little bit more balanced to begin with. Still nothing. Obviously, we're bearish across the board, so we'll go swift. I just kind of want to get more of an intraday type of level in here to kind of look for that continued movement. There it is. And so, yeah, you're looking for sells across the board. Market's definitely bearish. You did just break this previous low. Excelsius is telling you that. Where are we going, though? Ooh, we're at all-time lows here. On CAD CHF. On this chart, if you go to like an FXCM chart, I'm sure there's more historical data that will show you potential areas. But again, short term across the board, especially when you're at all-time lows, you might say, well, why are you going for more of a short-term bias? And for me personally, when you're trading at all-time lows or all-time highs, you never really know where those tops or bottoms are going to sit. So keeping more of a short-term mindset is going to be more in your favor. It actually deflects the risk of manually trading because of that hopeful mindset of, oh my goodness, this might be the play that pushes to the moon or tanks to the ground, right? And that can create a distraction from the overall game plan, and that's not something we're looking to do. And so, yeah, nonetheless, though, simply smooth plays here across the board. And really we're just looking for, again, just one of two things to happen, a continued movement one way or the other. We did just recently attempt to correct out of this in the short term. We did break, simple continuation, price tried to push. Again, we did just break this previous low. We are pulling back. But again, it's very choppy, very short term. It's not plays that I'm personally interested in or would be interested in, just because environmentally it's not really the smoothest. Again, you could look for sells to the short term. Buys, of course, are going to be a little bit choppier. It would actually be more beneficial if you get this play here. It starts to decelerate or exhaust, and then obviously, you start to look for that long back to the upside. That's obviously where more of those optimal types of plays come into. But it's CAD CHF. CAD JPY is going to have a similar stance to the other JPY plays. bearish in the grander scheme of things with a range-bound stance, and that's exactly what we are getting within here. More of a heavier type of movement to the downside, but it seems like you are capped, and same thing to the upside here. Now, if we do take a look on a weekly stance here, we can see that we are at a significant point of contention in context to the JPY pairs across the board. And so again, question always becomes, do we get a complete reversal out? That all dictates on how much intraday structure you start to break down. The more intraday structure you start to break down, the increase in probability of potential for a reversal to take place. Wildly important. Wildly important. And so nonetheless, JPY pairs, similar characteristics across the board. Longer term bearish stance, shorter term range bound environment, not much going on. CHF JPY, going to be similar to the others. You have that longer term stance with that shorter term range bound environment right now. Just changing the toolkit here, just trying to remove some of that noise when you are in that range bound environment, just trying to feel what feels best for me. This feels best for me in here. And so you can see here again, right, really smooth. Market is bearish within here, short-term correction taking place, and I'm sure if I pop to the weekly, we're at some significant point, and we certainly are once again. This again is a prime example of where fractal analysis comes into play, higher time frame arguments. This is why I say this all the time. We're not here to ever talk down on any one given trading style, but it's fundamentally important to understand that fractal analysis, counter arguments as a whole, is what dictates the game. Everything else is a bell and whistle. Whatever confluence you want to look at, whether it's a pattern, whether it's some other type of level of unit that you're looking at, or a measurement, whatever that's going to make you feel as if though you have that additional confluence that's going to give you the green light, is a bell and whistle to the foundation of which the game is. And it's so important that you understand that. I can speak to this because I know the data. I've seen the data. I have the data. And that's the difference. I'm not speaking out of a mere opinion or, hypothesized type of mindset. This is just a strict data-driven conclusion based on what we have seen. And what we have seen is that the foundation is what dictates it all. There are no confluences out there that start the basis of this whole thing. And it's so important that you understand that. You can see that across the board. So that's CHF pairs. Euro AUD in a range in the bigger scale, but you definitely do have some pretty good bearish pressure downside. And you have some pretty good room here. Again, you might have another 200-300 pips here, but you got to keep in mind again where you are environmentally. You are kind of within the mid of this current range within here, so you could have potential downside. Or if price is going to continue to the upside, you got to start breaking down some of that intraday type of structure. And so going into the daily chart here, right, for the moment, you're just looking for these further continued plays to the downside. Otherwise, if you want this to be that correction on the weekly time frame, right, you got to start breaking down market points within here. Cool thing about just the way price action works, this might be the point of entry right now that ultimately is going to give you that green light to take the entry. But if this further develops new structure, right, then now that argument just starts to change where you can have these points within here that potentially can give you these more of a better type of risk to reward scenario setups for you. For the moment, you are looking for the sells, but weekly does have that short-term correction to the upside, so keep in mind short-term either side for now, and that's really how you want to be looking at it. August could be hurting a lot of people because of the range-bound environments we're in. Monthly here on EuroCAD, super range. Look at the environment we're in. Price is having difficulty, potential reversal on the monthly. Weekly, you are in a very range-bound environment trying to pull off. Maybe you could get some short-term sells in here. I say short-term because you have to be mindful that this is still bullish, even though it is choppy and consolidated right now. Daily, we are probably correcting out. Again, keep it short-term. If you do break through, you are going to get a further push to the downside because you are getting more of that monthly type of pressure coming into play. The buys right now, you would definitely want to see a complete breakdown of this entire top here to say that all of this is just pullback or relief, and you're going to expect a continued movement to the upside. Otherwise, ranged, still though, a little bit more, probably better sell than buy just because environmentally where you are. Monthly here on Euro CHF at a low. Weekly, it looks like you are pretty bottom as well. And so with this, it's kind of the similar concept of what we just reviewed on that last pair here. You're potentially looking for that reversal to the upside, other one was to the downside. But again, it's kind of contradictory to the higher time frame pressure. So it's going to be short term across the board. I would just be waiting for something to happen here. If you wanted to, you could obviously go into the toolkit here, drop down into lightning mode. You'll probably get really short-term intraday levels, but it's not worth it in my opinion. And you can just see across the board, some plays are more free-flowing than others. This is the beauty of our automation. While we have 30-plus strategies ready to go, and we're always adding new ones every week, it doesn't mean that every pair is going to be ready to be free-flowing. It doesn't matter what type of style of trader you are. It doesn't matter if you want to trade in the intraday or you want to be a swing trader. It all works in the same format. If the swing environments start to move, the intraday environments will start to be free-flowing as well. It's super important you understand that. If the swing environments are constricted, the intraday environments will also be constricted. Very important you understand that. Dropping into Euro Pound here. That is super critical area here. It could have a potential reversal if you do get that play in the short term. Need some structure to develop here though. And then sells you want to be weary of, right? Do we have any key levels in here? No. But sells you do want to be weary of because where you are environmentally, that would be a really difficult level of competition to go within. Sitting within here, it's not something that I would be competing within. If you have the nerve, be my guest. Maybe like a short-term, correction on the 1 hour time frame here. Start to see some type of reversal. Again, if you might say, hey, that's a lot of analysis on the toolkit side. I really don't want that many levels. Boom, just go to leisurely here. And the next thing you know, you will just see everything become a lot smoother. Again, the beauty of Excelsius as a whole and what you can do with it. That's Euro Pound, not much going on. Euro New Zealand, getting caught at the tops here. Great example of what it's like when you do have false pressure failing to break. What can happen? False pressure failing to break. And so intraday time frame starts to kick in, and now, movement's kind of done. You could potentially expect one more pullback and another drop, but that's kind of about it. The more you start to push within here, the more choppy it is going to be. So it's not something like too exciting across the board. Euro JPY is going to be similar with all the other yen pairs, more of a bearish stance with that range-bound environment. And so again, you want to be weary of what's going to happen within here. If you do get that sell, you might get more of a free-flowing pressured movement. But again, be mindful, all yen pairs across the board are at some pretty critical areas. So you just got to keep that in mind. And then again, the buys are super short-term. Looks like Euro JPY is just a little bit more constricted in context to where it is environmentally versus some of the other JPY pairs. So this might not be necessarily the JPY pair if price does break to the upside that you'd want to be into, but nonetheless, very similar characteristics. Euro USD, let's go weekly first here. Bullish across the board. Monthly is attempting to be bullish. Monthly's at a top. Holy smokes. You see this? Do you see this, legends? Monthly is toppy here. Toppy. I mean, monthly could potentially correct right now. You do get a little bit of a correction. Price is going. This is all consolidation, but liquidity for a potential further leg to the upside. Go to the daily in here. You are getting that short-term pullback right now, so you could expect further movement to the downside. Mind you, it is short-term. That will start to change if we start to break down more market structure. If I went to like a more balanced approach here, this is going to be all bullish, and so you want to be careful again of how much you do take these sells. You are still looking for those setups to the upside. Biggest thing that I would just recommend again is in situations like these, you either just simply wait for further structure to develop so that you can state that you are in fact breaking back to the upside. Otherwise, you do want to obviously erase this entire top or even break down further points to be able to say that, hey, this was just a pullback for that continued movement. Otherwise, if you do want to attack the sells, you can. We did just break previous structure within here. And again, it is just short term, and you just have to be mindful of that short-term play. But this is not a bad play just because, again, environmentally, you are at a toppy environment. We did just break down intraday. Excelsius giving you that indication that you could have another play to the downside. So something just to keep in mind. Pound AUD, very range bound on the daily here. We'll take a look real quick at higher time frame structure. Not much I can say. Obviously, it is a range for the last year and a half. Monthly, are we anywhere? You are at a top on the monthly here, but it doesn't necessarily mean that price can't continue. Daily here for the moment, has been ranged for the entirety of August, and so very simply, you're waiting for one of these or for one of these. Otherwise, you're sitting on your hands. Pound CAD. Legend. There is a lot of reversal points in here. Set up the plays. Set up the plays. Do you see Euro CAD? Pound CAD? Do you see all the other plays? They are all at tops or bottoms. Just set up the play. Set it up. Because look at this, right? Again, another one. Like every one of them is at a major point. 1, 2, 3. And now the fourth time. Can we correct? We might be able to. We might not be able to. Just set up the play for either side. Weekly and daily right now, not much going on. We are toppy. Probably if I went to like a lightning type of style, that probably went more bearish recently. And yeah, so again, short-term sells for the moment, but if you start breaking down further, you're going to get a lot more free-flowing pushes because of what is going on from that higher time frame structure. Buys I'd be very careful of on something like this, right? Very, very careful of. Because again, of what I showed you from that monthly standpoint, it's not something that you want to be involved in. Pound CHF, nice play. Nice play, right? Simple continuation play. Are we anywhere? No, not really. I mean, yes, that is the monthly base, but you do have room to go down in there. Go to the weekly in here. Yeah, simple play. You look for this break, and you are going to get a free-flowing movement to the downside. Otherwise, you get this, and it's a short-term play to the upside. I like the sell way more than I like the buy, of course, but anything can happen. Price obviously can just simply correct out further, make another one of these, and then just continue downwards. But nonetheless, sell looks really good over the buy. I would definitely be favoring towards that bad boy. Pound yen, again, very similar characteristics to the other yen pairs. More of a bearish stance to begin with a short-term correction currently taking place. Very, very range-bound. This, though, looks super smooth for a buy to the upside if you get it. And I'm sure if we go to the weekly, we are at some pretty significant points, or we did just reject off a pretty significant point. Monthly, yeah, heavy handle. Heavy, heavy handle. You might get that buy to the upside. You get that break to the upside, and you're going to have a free-flowing movement straight there to the sells. Again, you got more intraday structure to break to the downside, but this is something that looks really, really smooth. That's GJ, GN. Let's see where we are. It's like not really anything special for the moment, right? You can see what happened, failing to break previous highs. We're not, we are at a previous top that we did just reject, but we are coming to previous monthly lows. We might have one more sell in here, but again, it's not something really interesting. I mean, it's pretty clean price action, but you got to wait a day or two for this to pull back, and then you can run one more down. But overall, not much on here. GU on the weekly, let's see. You are at a pretty sensitive point here. Yep, monthly high, you are pretty toppy here. So you could look for that similar sell opportunity like you got with EU. Didn't change just yet on Excelsius' standpoint, so you definitely want to see some type of structure here. We haven't changed, but everything is short-term for the moment because, of course, environmentally things are still bullish, but you might have that potential reversal. Moving into the NZD pairs real quick. Hello, past analysis in here. Got to get rid of that. And so jumping into it, going into the balance charts here so we can clean out the noise sometime, legends. Going on to the weekly here, we can see not much is going on. We're not really anywhere. Price trying to figure itself out. Short-term bullish. It's not something I would be interested in. I would just skip on, move on. Legends, look at all this OG analysis in here. On the weekly here on NZD CHF, you might have some short-term sells. Whoops, we did just recently break through this previous low within here. In which now price is pulling back. You might get one more short-term sell, but you got to be mindful again that price did come above that previous low. That could indicate something. You are getting some short-term buys to the upside, but look how choppy it is because, again, of where the momentum is. You could still get continued movements. If you wanted to see that change up, you go into the lightning mode here. You will get some more intraday levels in there. But not much else across the board on that one. NZD JPY, very similar to the other JPY pairs. Again, just a little bit more of a balanced approach because I want to get rid of that noise. Market is definitely more biased to the downside, but you do have, again, some levels that you could look for short-term buys. Most JPY plays are coming off of that pretty significant handle of where it was previously, and so you are just seeing a lot of a rejection off of those points. NZD-JPY, though, is not as free-flowing as some of the other yen pairs. Some of the other yen pairs are literally sitting at the bottoms or tops, but still really good play. It's got some intraday development onto it. If you get another play, you're going to be rocking and rolling. And let's take a look. Weekly, we did just get above this previous high that we've been holding for nearly the entire year. You could look for a continued buy to the upside, or it might follow suit with its current other pairs, just simply staying in its range. But the daily, you are toppy, right? So definitely you want to wait for confirmation either way, whether you're looking for the sells to the downside, whether you're looking for the buys to the upside. You really want to wait on something like this. There's not much else to talk about because it is just really constricted. And then the dollar pairs here, taking a look from a weekly standpoint, let's change the toolkit here. Let's change the pace, a little bit more balanced right now. We can see that USD CAD did just previously, and this is a great sell setup here. Why? Because one, we did just fail to break through previous points here. And then secondly, we did just recently correct and change direction within here. You definitely have some free-flowing movements to the downside. Be mindful, though, that you are at a pretty significant point here on DXY, on dollar pairs, so you may get this pullback, but you are still looking for this play. If we can break through further structure, keep running it down. That is the way forward. Buys for the moment are not really optimal because of that weekly change in structure. You would want to start breaking through some previous points before any buys, in fact, would happen. So that's USD CAD, USD CHF on the weekly here. I'd be careful because of where you are sitting within. You can see that we are at a really, really sensitive point. Could we reverse? Do we break down? Let's go to the monthly. You're at a serious monthly level. Holy smokies, legends. Look at this, right? So with this, I'd be very careful of those sells. They're probably going to be short term if you do. Otherwise, we're going to see what happens within here. If not, let's pull into, let's pull into real quick here the lightning mode unless we get some more intraday levels in here, and we do. Beautiful. So with this, if you can, you get that short-term buy. Beautiful rejection off of that monthly handle. Last but not least, USD JPY on this one. Again, gonna follow suit with all the other yen pairs. This one, though, did not add a significant point like some of the others. It did attempt to push through, but you could get that short-term reversal, which would be super, super smooth if you do get it. Lightning is on. We did just recently change direction within here, so you could get these short-term buys within here in addition to kind of also bottoming out and being at these pretty significant points. And again, short-term across the board because, of course, market does still have that bearish stance in context to the entirety of it. And so in context to the FX side across the board, most plays are in pretty sensitive regions right now, and that's something really important to be mindful of because that's going to dictate how free-flowing of a movement you will get. However, a lot of plays are setting up extremely, extremely nicely. It's just a matter, again, of just mapping out the idea that you want and then waiting for things to set. You can see how smoothly and efficiently the toolkit makes things. We just swapped through 28 pairs to begin with, analysis like that. And that's the beauty of it, right? So when you understand price action trading, how to move in that way, simply pop on the toolkit, map out your plays, and then just wait for them to, of course, come into play. Obviously, we have the blueprint as well, which you can go and automate all these plays for yourself additionally. Yeah, legends. Just really, really cool stuff. That's FX across the board. You don't have the craziest amount of plays right now, but you do have a lot of plays setting up. It goes back down to, again, why it's so important to understand the counter arguments and context to everything that you're doing. The better you understand the counter arguments, and the better you will understand the statistics associated to the trades in which you're taking. So that's FX. Let's take a look at indexes real quick. We'll start with US 30 USD here on the weekly. We can see market is, of course, moving into an all-time high environment. And so with this, you are just looking for buys. That's cool. Dow's hitting an all-time high. That's really exciting. Not much else I can say about that. Let's go down to the 1 hour time frame here and map out some potential plays of how you can trade these all-time highs. So what I'd like to do is the following. Very simply, wait for confirmation to begin with, wait for these highs to break, and then obviously you're looking for short-term continued movement. Really just looking for areas that you can get pretty optimal points within, and just being mindful again that you want to have a little bit more of a short-term trajectory on these, because you never know when those tops are going to be. You can also use other tools such as our rejection zones, and others that will ultimately, of course, show you potentially where sensitive environments can be. We're probably sitting in them right now. If I do pop them on, we're probably sitting with them on the higher time frame for sure, no matter what zone I do decide to throw within. But across the board, when you are trading these all-time high environments, you just want to be mindful again that no one ever knows where the tops are, and so you can use these rejection zones in tandem as also additional targets, which is really great. So if you are taking these trades within here, obviously you know you are in a toppy environment, so with these environments, this is where you are looking for potential targets. So that's a really great environment where you could potentially look to run your trades or trail your trades. Let's look into S&P 500 USD in here, and I'm going to take off the rejection zones here in just a sec if my computer doesn't lag. So yeah, let's take a look at S&P 500 USD. Let's see what's going on with that. I don't think we are at all-time highs in here just as of yet. Let's take a look. Don't think so though, right? Oh, we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. I'm going to take away, just create a more balanced approach. But yeah, we're definitely getting there. So if price can go ahead and crack that high, then we definitely could be looking for a continued movement to the upside. So that, of course, is extremely, extremely exciting and very nice. Again, similar concept of what I told you guys before. You're just looking for those continued buys, which is great. Really just waiting for price just to give you confirmation. And then again, you can use those rejection zones to kind of tell you where you are. NASDAQ, not as of yet, right? So NASDAQ still has some room to go in context to its all-time high. S&P and US 30 are already there. NASDAQ, though, still needs some further confirmation. With this, first, obviously, you're waiting for previous points to the left here in tandem with these current highs to break out, so you can state that you are getting a further continued movement of that higher time frame structure. But this is actually probably more of a free-flowing play for you legends. And then, of course, sells if you start to break to the downside. Otherwise, you're just kind of sitting on your hands. Gold on here, we are currently still looking for longs to the upside, of course. It's going to get a little bit more consolidated as time goes on, but nonetheless, you are looking for longs. A little bit choppier for the moment. That's natural, but still very bullish for the moment until we break down any of this. Any of these pullbacks, you're just looking for continued runs back into the upside. Silver, I think similar concept in the sense of it's consolidated right now and you're just really waiting for price just to kind of shake things up again. Did hit an all-time high 4 months ago, and then since then has just been a little bit more range bound. But this has been a really good play for us on the miracle side. We've just been printing on silver, so that's been really great. And then, yeah, there's not much else I can say on the silver side of things, just because we are pretty range bound, pretty consolidated, wait for a break either way, and then just start targeting next key points. And that's the commodity side. U.S. oil, I can't really say much on because we haven't had any signals that have come out there. You can obviously do some analysis on it, but yeah, not much I can say on it. We are pretty bottomy right now in context to where we are, and you're just kind of just waiting for a catalyst to come out. Everything looks really choppy and ranged, and it's not something that I would really be interested in. Last but not least for today, we're going to take a look at the crypto space. BTC to begin with, attempting to push to the downside, but it looks as if though, again, this is just setting up for a really nice correction for another leg back to the upside. It looks as if though that's the entirety of the crypto space right now, so this is looking really good. You just need to wait at this point. I really don't advise trading cryptos just because I don't think that they're as lucrative as much as investing in them. I think they're a lot more beneficial, especially from like the BTC side. I think like XRP is a lot more lucrative because of the volatility that you do get. I think these are a little bit more difficult for the average trader. And that's why if you take the miracle signals. But again, we haven't been pumping out as many crypto trades as I would have liked to. But again, it's normal because of just how choppier the environment has been. But yeah, that is something that we are looking to change. That's why I don't ever advise people trading cryptos without some type of edge or some type of advancement associated. Excelsius obviously takes that a whole new level, but it's just the fact that they're very, you get these seldom pushes, right? And then they just get really, really, really choppy. And that's why, if you get signals from Miracle, it's one thing, but to really avidly trade crypto is not, in my opinion, like the best market. It's just more of an investment type of vehicle than anything else. But you do have your major pairs that you can focus on, like ETH and XRP and Litecoin. But again, they're all similar, right? You get these big pushes and then just a lot of chop, and that's the nature of trading, but just part of it across the board. ETH, not much going on. We've just been range bound since that spike in the beginning of the month, and then since then, nothing else. And then lastly, we'll just take a look at XRP. This is just, again, very range bound in its entirety. There's not really much going on within here, and doesn't really trade for the most free-flowing environments. I think we have one signal currently running on this right now, and it's just, I think it's break even or a little bit up, but it's just choppy, right? That's just a reflection of conditions across the board. But nonetheless, legends, that is going to conclude the webinar for today. A little bit of a different type of style and context to it. I hope I was able to show you, legends, though, across the board, just how easy it is to just come up with a million different plays when you have something such as the toolkit, where it does all the analysis for you, telling you all the points of interest, all your key levels, your direction. All you really need to do is map up the play based on comfort and preference, and then just simply wait. That's the beauty of using automated tools in tandem with your current manual trading. You're simply just upgrading your current state, and that's really the name of the game. And so, nonetheless, legends, it looks as if the market is definitely preparing some pretty good reversal points where it's currently sitting within, or we might start to break down and create all new types of environments. But nonetheless, conditions across the board are definitely a little bit more ranged, and you really just want to kind of wait before taking your first trade. And so, nonetheless, legends, that is going to conclude today's webinar. Thank you so much to each and every single one of you for tuning in. Never forget, these webinars take place every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. We are running promos right now where if you are a Miracle member, you do get the toolkit for free. We did just launch automated market outlooks. This week we are launching V4 fractal analysis, so be on the lookout for that. And nonetheless, legends, have a wonderful week ahead. Speak to you all soon.